And I'm sorry I was not very clear about your first question. You said that the wife gave a donation
Yeah. The wife gave, her land to her husband.
to her husband.
Yeah. Otherwise, because the family, at
Right.
one time they said they would give, but
Okay.
nobody showed up.
Right, right.
So what I'm saying is, because she gave her
Life.
as if she had given life to mankind. She gave life to.
Also, you're referring to the Quranic verse, وَمَنْ أَحْيَاهَا فَكَأَنَّمَا أَحْيَا النَّاسَ جَمِيعًا.
Yeah, just to justify to say it's okay maybe to give.
I think, well, since that verse is particularly referring to people that who don't kill other people, and if they kill other people, it's like killing all mankind, and if we spare other people, that verse is slightly different in its connotation. Here, what we're doing is we're doing something for the cause of humanity. And remember, the Almighty has said that whatever you do for other people is going to be a reward for your own self. So I think it's because of the fact that all benevolent acts emanate from us, and the recipient is the receiver of that benevolent act. And when we are donating an organ, it is part of that benevolence. So because the Almighty loves benevolence and compassion, and this comes under benevolence and passion, there is no reason to deny it or to prohibit it.
But question. You give your eyes to a blind man.
Right.
God has created him blind. Now he gets his eye and do all wrong things. He see all evil and do all evil kind. Who's responsible for that? Allah made him blind already. We gave him my eyes. Now he's doing all the wrong thing by looking at it. Whose fault is that now?
But what about the fact that he's also doing good things because of the eyes?
Yeah, but that's a chance you're taking. But Allah made him blind. Who am I to give him something?
I
Allah
think
created him blind.
Allah created him like that, but
Yeah.
at the same time, you see what has happened is that Allah also gave us intellect, curiosity, and the result of that was science, which produced miracles, a lot of miracles, as a result of which we are able to go to doctors. So we can say that Allah gave us fever when we get sick. Why should we eat tablets to get well? Because God wanted to make us sick.
But Allah said, I gave him a heaven for his blindness. Allah said,
That is something. That's something when there is no other other way out.
Yeah.
Blindness. I mean, if you donate eyes, I mean that is a very specific case. The hadith says that if a person does not have eyes and he shows patience and he's still grateful to God, then the reward of that patience, in spite of being blind, is heaven. So that is another thing. So I think that to take advantage of things which benefit us, like for example, medicines. I mean, medicines are something you can always argue that, well, if I've lost my limb, why should I go for surgery? Because God has made us lose our limb. So I would humbly disagree with this line of reasoning.
My concern with birth defect, I'm talking about the birth
Right.
God is giving with the birth life,
Right.
not accidentally something happens.
Even
That's
at
my
birth,
concern.
even at birth, I would say that this is obviously a trial from God. But if we are able to, through God-given knowledge, I mean, the knowledge which we are able to exercise and give that person eyesight, if you are even blind at your birth, is again something which is a gift of God. So science itself, I would say, is a gift of God. So why should not we benefit from that gift? Until we were not able to do so, maybe in the last century or maybe a couple of centuries ago, fine, but we had no means. But once those means have been made available, and that too is a gift of God. So I personally think that we should benefit from that.
I have a question about charity. So you mentioned two extremes about charity. One is try to give the best of best you have. Another example you said
When you don't have nothing, you cannot even spare something for other people.
find out something from your home. Maybe it is trash for
Right.
you,
Uh-huh.
but it is good for somebody
Right,
else.
right.
So on one side he is saying give best, another is
No,
it's
so
a-
that
it's a
is
trash.
something. There are two extremes. So you see, this is the minimum that you can do, and that is the best that you can do. So it's not that it is condemned. It says that this is the best form of charity. It doesn't mean that there are lesser forms of charity not available. So it means that if you want to be the closest to God, then the best thing would be that you give what you like best. But you see, not all people are of that stage. That's like having an A positive in your exam. So if you settle for less, that's also acceptable. So that is like saying that this is the highest form of charity. But then there are other lesser forms as well.
So what would be the state of the mind when I'm giving a trash of my home to somebody else?
The word trash was spoken in a figurative way.
Yeah.
I mean, trash is not trash. Actually, trash means that you don't
You don't
use it. You don't need it.
Yeah.
So when you don't need it and you give it to other people and they are able to use it, I think this is a very good thing because this is something which other people are using. It's of being benefit to them, and it's not a benefit to you. So you're still helping other people.
I have one more question on charity. Speaking of charity, in Quran we see that there are words Sadaqah, and Zakat. So why it is categorized in three differently, and is a differences in reward also
Right.
on this?
So you see, the Arabic words sadaqah and khaira are the same. They just refer to charity in general. Zakat is the obligatory part of charity, the mandatory part of charity. You see, charity is a big thing. For example, you can donate anything, but like 2.5% is the mandatory part that you must do. So zakat is a form of charity. It is the minimum form of charity. Over and above is what the Quran calls as infaq fi sabilillah, that you spend for the cause of God. And the amount that you must spend, come what may, is the obligatory part, which is what we call zakat. So that is why we have different words. So,
On the same question related to that, see in Surah Tawbah ayat 59, it mentions zakat and sadaqah.
Right.
So what is the difference?
the heads of zakat are the zakat, and the word sadaqah is used. إِنَّمَا الصَّدَقَاتُ لِلْفُقَرَاءِ وَالْمَسَاكِينِ. So you see, the word sadaqah is used, and basically the Baitul Mal, or the public treasury in which the wealth would be gathered in an Islamic state. These were the heads on which they spent. So basically the word sadaqah here, it encompasses charity which is mandatory, and it encompasses charity which is not mandatory. So whatever you give to the state, you can give two things to the state. One which is mandatory, and one which is over and above which you would like to contribute. So both of them go to the Baitul Mal, or the public treasury, and then they are dispensed in those heads. Al-Fuqara, Al-Muhajirin, Al-Mu'allafatu Qulubihim, etc., etc.
In some cases, you guys we put a person on the artificial breathing, and sometimes they come back after a year, 2 years.
They do.
How you know? Personal thing, I think is not right, because you're hurting the community, you're hurting the family, everybody involved, because
Right.
of the respiration,
Right,
creating
right,
life
right.
hard for everybody, economically, everywhere. But sometimes they say,
It does happen.
yes, that's my.
It does happen. So you see, I think in this matter we have to seek the advice of a professional doctor. Because you see, miracles do happen, but we cannot decide a life on the basis of miracles. So anything can happen anytime because of God's will. Because in a known medical science, if a doctor thinks that there is no chance of revival, on the basis of medical science, and he could be wrong, I think you can make a decision on that. But if someone still thinks that no, I'm going to wait, well, it's his own decision. But I think if you take out the plug at that instance, you would not be doing the wrong thing. So you see, what we're deciding at the moment is whether it would be wrong at that time or not. It would not be wrong, but if you still continue it, okay, fine. So,
Just like my brother Nisar Hai, I have a philosophical question. I do khutbahs in almost all these masjids around here, and I get feedbacks. I have been a member of interfaith for all my life. So I go to churches, I go to synagogues. My question is, I always wonder, Jews go to synagogue, Christians go to church, Muslims come to masjid. If the message is the same, why can't we all be together? This is a universal question that I always have in my mind, because it creates tafriq. It divides us instead of bringing us together.
right. So let me give you an example from the life of the Prophet. So in so when he was in Medina, in his masjid, there was a delegation of Christians who were visiting him. And once they had the conversation done, the delegation said, the Christian delegation said that please give us time, we are going for our worship, and we're going to worship God and we'll be back. And you look what the Prophet said. He said, this is the house of God. Why do you need to go to some other place? Just do your worship here. This is what the Prophet himself told those Christians. So I think the point is that it is we human beings who create these divides. As far as the house of God is concerned, it should be for everyone. Everyone should be allowed, as long as he wants to worship God, to enter the house of God. And unfortunately, it is we human beings who create these divides, and it is unfortunate.
It's concept of party na party. They don't have that concept.
Doesn't matter.
Muslim has a no. I cannot go to masjid if I'm not.
Remember those
pure.
Christians? Those Christians had come to the Prophet without any wuzu, and they were sitting in the mosque.
But a lot of things are taught after their Prophet has given Hazrat Umar. They didn't pray in church. They don't want to make it
You
common.
see, there is another thing that in the church, if you have statues of Jesus, for example, there before whom you maybe prostrate, that's another thing. But for example, there could be a place in the church or in a synagogue which is clean of these things. So as Muslims, you can go and pray there. And if those people are coming to your own mosques, it's not essential for them to do wuzu. It's essential for us to do wuzu because we are Muslims. But for them, it's not an obligation.
There's no respect for the mosque left there.
No, I think the
Purity is not there.
respect has to be earned. I think respect has to be earned. And we start off by letting them come into our mosque. If we shut the doors of the mosque, how can we expect them to respect our mosque?
No, I'm not saying that do that. I'm just saying that. They go to bed, they go to sleep
I
with the
think
girlfriend and come
there
in
is
the
no
masjid.
restriction. I mean, the Sharia,
Cleanliness.
the Sharia has nowhere mentioned that if you are without wuzu, you cannot come to the mosque.
No, ghusl I'm talking about, no ghusl. Man, human being, we can, Muslim cannot go to mosque. A woman has a period, she cannot go to mosque, she cannot pray. So many things are done for the purity of the mosque.
So that
and
is the
because
problem.
everybody come in and do whatever they
I
want.
think that is a restriction. That is a restriction for Muslims. As people who would like to be invited, people who are of other faiths, for them this is an exception. You see, for us it is something else because we have already entered Islam. For people who have yet to enter Islam, who have yet to come closer, I think you have to be more open to them. Let them first come to you. Maybe if they listen to the Quran, they are able to gauge the message of the Quran. They'll do the same thing that we are doing. But we cannot expect them to do them before even they expect Islam, convert to
No,
Islam.
we are not talking about dawah here. We are talking about let them come in. They are coming on shorts. A man cannot pray.
I think when they come, I have seen so many non-Muslims come. They do pay this respect. If you tell them that please cover your legs, they do so. And if you ask their women to cover their heads, they do so. And they are very respectful. So I think it's a question of us being more magnanimous, being more open to them. The more we are open to them, the more we will become closer to them. But I know there's this other strategy that people have adopted, and it's a question of a strategy. It's not a question of, I would say, the Sharia itself. So my personal view would be that to bring people closer to each other of other faiths, and once you are closer, and once they try to understand you, you will have all the chance in the world to tell them that, well, this is how we would like you to be. I think this will be a first step to them. And what you are talking about, that can be achieved in the second step.
Because our kids look at those things. Say, Daddy, what's going on? What kind of mosque I'm going with? The people are half no wearing nothing. They go to Kabristan with shorts, and people are ashamed to look at them.
Yeah,
they go away from the
you're
own
right
brother.
about it. But as I said, there are so many non-Muslims. If you tell them that these are the etiquette that you should follow, they do that. You can see in Europe, in Australia. Look at what happened in New Zealand. That Jacinda, what's her name? Jacinda Ardern. She came to the mosque with a covered head. She normally wears a skirt and she covered her legs, and she knew that some big tragedy had struck there, so that she has to be sympathetic towards them. So I think she totally changed her outlook. So they are respectful as well. If we just tell them that this is how you should come, they follow it.
There are exceptions, like you say, Islam is exception. There are exceptions.
They don't come here every day, right? They come here once.
But the way we are talking is okay, let them come there. So then get the idea here. See, that's what I'm talking about. Generally, we say they can come anytime.
I think if they would like to come here, we can arrange their visits. We can always make communication.
Yeah.
So I think it could be organized. It could be managed.
You're right now.
So that's what I'm saying. It should be done in an organized way.
Right way, yeah.
Just a follow-up of that. So, if you accept the principle that all religious people could
Mingle.
mingle anywhere, so can you push that button far away to allow also non-Muslims, everybody come to the Hajj, come to the Haram, Masjid?
So why not? What is the reason which stops them? And even today, there are so many royal guests which come as non-Muslims to observe the Hajj. Because this is something which can bring them closer to religion, which can bring them closer to Islam. So if you do it in a controlled way, in a way in which you can organize their trips so that they can come and see your worship places, they might be inspired. They might totally change their outlook. So if it is done in an organized way, in a manageable way, I personally think there's
and that should be only for, those who have received the books, or it could be just
It could be for anyone. Anyone who would like
How about
to
the
visit.
ayahs in the Quran that, I don't know if it is in Surah Al-Tawbah.
لا تقربوا حرفي هذا المسجد بعد عامهم هذا. So you see, that relates to the mushrikun, or the idolaters of Arabia specifically, to whom a messenger of God had conveyed the truth in its ultimate form, and they had ended up denying it. And the Almighty had told the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that these are the people who are no longer worthy of your affection. You should not pray for them. So that was a specific category of non-Muslims.
So is there any hadith or any way Prophet did these things that you're talking about we can do? Is there any proof of prophets? Or
As I said, because there are certain things which are part of religion and there are certain things which are part of strategy. As what is part of religion is something which we of course cannot disobey.
So
But it is
sorry,
part of strategy.
the Prophet Muhammad's strategy was the best strategy. How can we say that our strategy
No,
is
I'm not talking about the strategy. What I'm saying is that he himself invited a non-Muslim delegation in the Mosque of Medina. And he said that why would you go and worship somewhere else? They didn't have a zoo. They had come to visit him.
You are right. That was at that moment. But Prophet didn't have any hadith or anything prove that after the people start coming, there is no proof that there was other Umar is there, other Usman Ghani, anybody.
You will find that in later times, this continued the practice. This practice continued. People would come to the mosque. Delegations from other part of the world would come and visit the mosque. So I think, yes.
I just want to highlight to everybody, whatever you guys talking about, gather or religion, it's happening already. And the scholar already, I'm going to tell you where it happened, and the scholar already give opinion. Because, like Emirates, Dubai, he make a new religion, it's called new religion, which is Abraham religion. He make a place which everybody go, Christian, Jew, Muslim, to one location, all pray, right? But the agenda of this to doing broke all our system, like no wudu, you can go inside, you can do whatever, and all the scholar in Egypt, whatever said is wrong, because this is the beginning of to broke our way to pray to Allah, which is happening already.
Right.
It's not just new. In Dubai right now, you have a place called Abraham religions, you know, which is he wants to follow Abraham, whatever. But when this, not my opinion, okay? The scholar said, if you read the Quran, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, every time he talking about Abraham, he said, وَلَا تَسْأَلُنَّ عَلَى الْأَوَّلِينَ, because the Sharia had changed, the law of Allah changed. Like Allah Subhanahu wa Taala in Old Testimony, he can eat that, New Testimony different, Muslim different. So Allah said, I just give you example what's happened, but you don't do like we can eat fish. Jew don't eat fish like that. What I'm trying to say is the people trying to do Abraham with all people together like we're talking right now is gonna damage our way to pray Allah, to pray God. That's not my opinion. Just telling this happening already. It's not
Okay, thank you.
okay, no problem.
Okay, I have one final question. It's a difficult question. It's a difficult question. I mean, I just need your opinion. This is related to my sister-in-law. She's been in the hospital for ICU for over 5 months. And she is on breathing machine, this machine, that machine, everything. The pressure is on me from my family. Why don't you tell him, my brother, to remove all this? So the important thing is this, I don't want to get, what should I do when they put the pressure on me, number one? Number two, the doctors in the ICU know that my brother has threatened them that he will sue them if anything happens to my wife. So the doctors are afraid to tell him to move from the ICU. So she is on the breathing machine, lung machine, so on and so forth. Anything, my brother, who is an elder brother, who is a doctor, he quit communicating with him. So they are saying now it's your job, my job. I said I cannot do anything. If his brothers cannot do anything, it's up to him. But I know that if you pull the machine, he's gone. Now this, what happened is, I mean, I don't know, you know Brother Hatul, Dr. Hatul, Mahir Hatul. They were scholars from Egypt. They were here. And then Muzammi Siddiqin, all of them, they made a, he said he got a fatwa from Sheikh al-Azhar that you not keep a person on any of this machine, breathing machine or this machine, for more than 40 days. You should remove it. If the person is going to survive, they will survive. If they're not, they're not. So my question to you is a difficult question. All my brothers and sisters should share this. We don't know who will face what. The pressure is on me, and what should I do?
Well, it's a difficult situation, of course, as you told. But you see, I think that question, the answer rests on the doctor himself. The doctors tell you that there is no chance for survival, and she's just been put alive because of those machines. I think if you take that decision, it would be fair in the eyes of God. But whether your brother-in-law, you talked about him, that he would agree or not, that's another thing. If he threatens to sue the doctors, that's another problem. But legally, I would say, or the Sharia-wise, if you have this opinion that because the doctors say there's no chance for her to revive, and you just can pull the machine, you'd be legally and religiously you'd be fine. But if the threat is that's another thing that you need to tackle, and that is something which maybe a lawyer can help you about.
But is it against Islam?
It's not against Islam, as I said, because you see, if a doctor advises you, he tells you that there is no chance for survival, and she's just being artificially kept alive. That's just an artificial life that she's having. And if you take away the machine, it would not be against Islam.
Can I add something? In the United States,
Sir.
the legal system says that only the husband has the authority. Brothers, sisters, they have nothing to do with that.
Okay, then that's another question.
Yes.
If he has the authority, then let him
The
decide.
legal system in the United States.
Okay.
I have one more question. Mixed marriage is why man is allowed to marry Christian or Jew, but if and our daughters cannot marry Christian or Jew, our sister. Why? There's no difference in the religion.
So you see, what has happened is that even for marrying a Christian and Jew, from amongst the people of the book, the Quran says that even this is something which is allowed in specific circumstances. The context of the verse is Al-Yawma uhilla lakum at-tayyibat, and then Al-Yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum, which means that now that religion has prevailed in a certain land, now you can maybe marry amongst the women from the people of the book, because it will be expected of them that if they enter the bond of marriage, they might even convert because of the swaying circumstances, because of the dominance of religion, and they'll be living in subservice to religion. So this fatwa that you can just marry from the people of the book, if you look at the context of the Quran, is not entirely correct. It tells you that even from the people of the book, women, you can marry once in that area. Islam is a dominant force, because as you can see, the context is that now that Islam has been finalized, it's now that the traditions of religion prevail. Now if you can allow your non-Muslim women to get married with your Muslim men, or other words I would say, then it's absolutely fine, because there is a chance that when they come to the wedlock, they will live in subservience to Islam. There's a chance they might even convert. And even then, if they don't convert, at least they will not rear their children as Christians. So that's an exception which is given. And it's generally taken as a blanket permission.